Okay, well in today's episode of DAWless for Cheap, I'm going to be looking at the Roland J-6. The J-6 is basically a chord player. It's also got an inbuilt synthesizer based on the Roland Juno 60. It's got a little keyboard here, and it's also a sequencer. So as you can see, it's quite nice and compact, about the size of an old VHS cassette. I don't know if you remember what those are, some people, and probably would fit in a large pocket. I sometimes can, it's the kind of thing I can probably take with me on camping trips and things like that, or on a train, quite handy. I've not had anything like this before, in that I normally kind of just key things in and do a bit of sampling and stuff like that. But what really intrigued me about this is that it plays chords, and I'm not a musician. So I don't know one end of a chord from the other, to be honest. So when I got this, I got it secondhand. You can go and see how much I paid for it in my previous episode when I run through the costs of things. And this one, I think it's good on its own, but it really comes into its own when you connect it with something else, like the circuit tracks. What you just heard there isn't the Roland J-6. What it's doing is I'm taking the MIDI out from the J6 there, putting it into circuit tracks, and it's playing track 2, which has got its own synthesizer here, okay, inbuilt, and it's playing the sounds from the circuit tracks, and that's what makes it quite, well, I think really useful. The sounds on it aren't bad. Some are good, some aren't great, but you've got kind of limited editing capabilities on it. They're very much kind of presets, to be honest. But I think the great thing about it is you can plug it in, not just into the circuit tracks, you can plug it into another external synth, ideally multi-timbral, because you can then make use of its chord facilities. So what you heard there was me playing the circuit tracks, a drum beat, and just playing along using chords. Let's just explain what I'm doing here. So chords, as opposed to single notes. There you go. So I can come in here, I can change my preset if you like. Let's go back into chord mode. Right, so you can play just like I was, just manually if you like, but the great thing about it is also it's got its own sequencer. So if I come in here, let's go with that one, come into my mixer, let's just have a bass drum on the mixer here. If I press, this is all synced by the way, so if I click play on here, circuit tracks will take the clock from the Roland. I'll just show you what I mean, and this is going to play a kind of sequence of chords. You can probably see them flashing along here. Just adding some more drums. You get the idea. Now what you can do with that, you could record that into here. The way I like to use it though is basically record my kind of manual keying into circuit tracks. I'm just going to show you how I do that. I'm just going to stick with the bass drum here. I know it sounds a bit simple and non-musical, but it kind of just helps me to keep time and perhaps just clean up the demonstration a bit basically. So what I'm doing here, I'm sending on MIDI channel 2. You can change the MIDI channels on here by the way. I'm receiving on MIDI channel 2 on synth 2. I'm going to come into my patterns view here. I'm just going to clear the patterns on synth 2 on this one. There we go. And I'm probably going to, if I record across, each of these is a bar by the way, so if I do my sequence across 4 bars, you'll see what I mean in a moment. So when I press play on here and I press record, I just key some things in here and it will record into these bars here. Let's go. Stop that and see if it worked out. Mixer, let me just turn my synth 1 on. So it's going to turn that on. That's just going to turn, oops, What have I done there? Wrong one. Patterns, all those patterns are on, I think. Are they? There we go. So it's, there we go, it's playing that one, that one, that one, and it cycles through. So you can see how useful it is. For me, as someone who doesn't know how to put in chords, this would have been a kind of manual process coming into the chromatic layout here, and just let me just have a quick look where I am. The chromatic layout presets, yes, synth, scale as a chromatic layout there. You can see, and I don't know what these chords are, to be honest. So playing something like the Roland is a really useful tool for someone like me. And to be honest, possibly even if you do know chords, this has got over 100 chord sets. So what it means is I can, by pressing Shift and chord here, at the minute it's on chord set 54. But if I just come, you'll see what difference it makes on 56. I'm just incrementing these one by one. And there we go. So for me, a really useful tool. I've only had it a couple of weeks, but I'm looking forward to using it more and more. Just a quick run through. I'm not going to go through everything on here because a lot of people have done that already on YouTube. You've got two different MIDI outs. You've got this normal kind of MIDI, traditional MIDI out there, but also the USB creates MIDI, transmits MIDI. You've got some sync in and outs here, and you've also got your outs, your headphone out there. So nice little bit of kit. Really appreciate it. Oh, the other one more thing I should mention is that if you're going to control anything externally, the great thing about this controlling external synth is you've got a lot more parameters open to you here in terms of adjusting sounds. I say that on the circuit tracks, but obviously other synths as well. And it's really easy to audition things. So once as you saw already, I programmed that in, so I can come into Synth 2 again and just swap around some of these sounds. There we go. Hope you enjoyed the demonstration. It's not a complete demonstration of what this does, but I'm just showing you how I use it in circuit tracks, which I think is a really useful tool. Thank you very much.